and 5RATFORCESTAFF. Again, 5RAT pulling off an upset here in game 1. I don't think any of us were quite expecting that to happen. Nouns obviously going for a bit of a reset here for game number 2. See what they've got in the bag, as there is going to be some tips handed over between Yamsun and Speed. And we actually have a video with Speed, I believe. We ask the man, what is your strategy going into the DPC? Let's hear from Speed.
Our energy is pretty high. I'd say it's pretty high because last season we barely made it through. We had to make it through tiebreakers, but we're feeling much more confident. I feel like everyone on the team has practiced way more than last season. We feel much better about our ideas. So yeah, we're hoping to do much better than just tiebreakers this season.
I'm going to give you a TLDR, John. Game Leap. That's the new strategy. Everyone's watching Game Leap. That's it.
I mean, their energy levels are high. You know, Speed must have gotten a good amount on those 50% off on his subscription on Game Leap.
Of course.
And, well, we did see him in last game. He played spectacularly well. That Hex pickup towards the end game just ruined Gunnar when he did go in for that last fight without his BKB. And he's on that same hero. He's back in that Timbersaw. So he's got a pretty interesting lane matchup against Slark. Again, I'm curious to see how much Husky can get out of that lane. That's the bigger question I have on mind. And there is a little bit of an early switcher, early aggression coming out. Moo just kind of scouting around. For Moo, we have to see this connection with a snap, right? Like, there are times where it feels like, yeah, you know what, Onslaught's not going to feel amazing with a cookie. It's going to be hard to connect. But at other times, just having that cookie with a trample on top, you can certainly get work done early. And for Moo, this early start has to come out. Like, again, the big difference, game 1, he didn't have that early presence on the Viper. We've got to see that presence out with the Primal Beast.
Absolutely, I do agree. But at the very least, like you mentioned, they have a pretty strong combo with the cookie into the trample and see if they can kind of abuse that. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Speed and Stomin are going to be up against Husky and Yamsun. Now, in theory, the Slark shouldn't have the worst time in the world, but the thing is against Timber, is he still does a hell of a lot of damage to Slark, and once you hit the level 6 mark, you're not actually scared of the Slark anymore. Like, the 6 mark, you have the Chakram up, the Slark doesn't really do much anymore either.
Yeah, it just doesn't survive. You've got AoE damage to kind of deal with him when he does go into his ult. They're trying, yo.
They're going to try and Stominen. Nice little pounce out onto Stominen. Yamsun taking quite a few stats away, but even just the level 1 Whirling Death, quite painful for both Husky and Yamsun. And just look at the damage. Yamsun, he has to be super careful. He's got 1 Tango left to use up. And it's not going to get any easier. This is level 1 for Speed.
Yeah, it's tough. The level 1 for Slark is pretty awkward up against him. It feels like it needs level 3, heck, even 4 or 5, where you can start trading a lot better with the Essence Shift out. Or just trying to burst with a Dark Pack, get some magical damage going. But Speed already in control of the lane. And just applying so much pressure onto Yamsun. Stominen on his Rubik as well. He did get his courier sniped, so he lost out on a lot of regen, but he's not being shoved out of lane. Still soaking up EXP, contesting the pulse, getting some CS here and there.
Gunnar, for mid lane, Kits almost has it. 1 right click would have done it, but now the bottle charge is giving Gunnar another chance at life, and Kits taking quite a bit of harassment from the tier 1s on the way back. Very close call there for the Leshrac. And Gunnar, he had a bit of a rough game last time around. They found a great way of shutting the man down, and hell, if you can do it again, he's such a big... Oh, look at that. Shards out as well, just slowing down the pace back into the mid lane. It feels like Gunnar's so key to the success of Nouns. If you can find a way to just shut the man down, odds of you winning against Nouns is just so much higher.
Yeah, and they just had his number last time. It took him a long time to kind of dominate. They did stall out the mid push coming out from Kits, but this time Kits is on the Tusk. And the matchup against Leshrac can go back and forth. There are ways to play. They're chasing Stominen.
They are. Lift is going to save the life of Stominen, though. Yamsun not able to continue the chase. Husky will, though. He does have brown boots up. Stominen also has those brown boots, but Husky trying to abuse the movement speed in the tree line. Eventually going to give up on it. Stominen, he does have some tangos and looks like he will stick around. Just wait out that tango region instead of going all the way back to the base. So far, no first blood being drawn between either side. Currently, Kid's having the best time on the map. 19 and 4 in terms of CS on the Tusk. I suppose you've got to be happy if you're 5RAT for now.
Yeah, you've got a pretty solid start. You are giving a little bit more out to Moo, but at the same time, Moo's not able to really be aggressive just yet with Lullis. He does leap away from Bino Zebra and Stominen, rotating up, so our Rubik is already getting some action across the map. He can afford to leave Speed alone. One of the great things, again, about that Timbersaw is it doesn't really need help. You can go around a map, you can get some stacks up for your team, and you can scout around to see what Nouns wants to do. I mean, again, just because of that movement, Gunnar has to watch himself. A little bit of that damage and control early on with a Tusk can just squash a Lesh.
This will be a big pickoff. DNM's been caught. Cookie is going to land. Hands up here from Mu. DNM eventually going to drop first blood to go the way of the Primal Beast. And well, that was DNM just going to getting caught out of position. There was no onslaught up for Mu to kind of commit to. It was just him walking in with the trample, and eventually Lilith came in with the Cookie.
Now, that's the one awkward thing for 5RAT. They grouped up their supports, they played tag around the triangle a little bit too long, and they didn't back off when Lullis backed off. So they get an opening where the NP's just unprotected and get to run down. So already a much better start for Mu again. His laning phase in game 1 wasn't the best. A lot more coming out now on his Primal Beast at least, but Speed still has his really good lane. And Speed is still keeping Yamson down in that 1v1. Sure, the Slark has a little bit more of magic damage now with the Dark Pact, but you can't really afford to lose that much HP up against the Timbiter. And with the reactives already up, trading prolonged with Essence Shift stuck at level 1, you don't get as much out with that Agi. It just fades a little bit too quick for you to hit in and out and sneak in for a little bit of an opportunity.
Oh, very, very low net worth lead here for Nouns. Just 5.5 minutes in. A lot of supports roaming around the map at the moment. Like, you've seen a lot of Stommen and Lilith just running across the map, but not leading to too much. Meanwhile, DNM, he's actually left the top lane now, opting to go into the jungle instead with these Treants. Very, very early, but I suppose he just doesn't feel like he can safely farm that top lane now that Mu is level 4 with the level 1 onslaught. Certainly much easier to catch the Prophet out. Lelis being a real pain in the butt, just kind of standing by DNM soaking XP. Won't steal any CS, but just even the XP alone is going to be very annoying for DNM to give away. Meanwhile, mid lane, Gunnar was being jumped by Kids, but the shards will not connect. Still, Gunnar trying to move forward, but doesn't realize the supports are around. Albino, Zebra, and Stominen doing a great job of just hanging around at that 6-minute mark. And to be fair to Gunnar, I mean, these 5RAT supports, they've been missing off the map for quite a while now.
Yeah, they've just been all over. Again, they abandoned top for a bit. They've been chasing around Lelis. They didn't have vision here from Nouns to watch that movement. I mean, they have a ward now, but just comes out a little bit too late from Husky. And again, once you connect with that Tusk, it's relatively simple to clear out the Lesh, although Stominen...
Yeah, trample out, lift away, Onslaught is there, Cookie will be just enough. They don't even need the Onslaught. High fives up once again from Mu. He's having a great time this game too.
Yeah, he's on a roll. Level 6 up, Pulverize ready to go. Shoving in the NP to the jungle, which they are tracking with the Obs Ward really nicely. And just kind of forcing 5RAT to play this slower game. They are looking to maybe Dragon Kits. He does have the Arcane Rune bottled up. Doesn't quite have the healthiest mana pool. The good news is still that Speed is having a pretty free lane. But Yamson is also not too far behind. He's not hurting too bad now. Has a level 6 to save himself. The threat of Chakram is there, but you do need someone to connect with you to bully out the Slark, unless Yamson just kind of missteps. Gunnar though?
Right now, 5RAT are just trying to support and make sure this jungle can be farmed by DNM. Still very afraid of Mu and Lelis. Kids is going to see Lelis. Shards are out, but he's got the Cookie to just jump right over. This is how desperate the situation is right now for DNM. Just make sure you stick by him. Even the mid-tusk, just making sure that they cannot infiltrate that dire side jungle. And eventually Kids will run up back towards the top lane, make sure that tier 1 does remain defended. And with that, DNM can have a bit of peace and quiet in that jungle. But you look at the net worth difference right now between him and Yamsun. Like, Yamsun's almost 1k ahead of the Prophet at the moment. It's a pretty rough affair for DNM. Like, he's level 4 in the jungle. This is not what you want.
No, it's far away from what you want. And the pressure is just constant from Nouns. They keep checking. They still maintain that Obs Ward. They've got the center in Stominen, but he's not looking to drop it at all. And this is just so much space out for Mu. So much space out for even Yamson, who isn't threatened by just the Timbersaw alone. And even space for Gunnar as well to get his farm up. Like, this lineup of Nouns does need a little bit going for themselves before they make a play. So they're more than happy, as 5RAT are just starved. I mean, they haven't lost any towers, but they're playing like they're already suppressed in the jungle.
They are. Moo's just having such a great game. 4.2k net worth. Spirit Vessel almost up on that Primal Beast now. See, that's going to make life very, very challenging for Speed as well. Having that early Vessel up here on the side of Nouns. Onslaught. Lift up from Stomin. Going to make sure the Onslaught doesn't go all the way. Moo will just trample right through the tree line. It's very hard to hide from the Primal Beast when he can just get rid of all the trees. And with the Pulverize, it's not going to be too hard to deal with Stomin, though he is still trying to buy himself a bit more time. But ultimately, it will not be enough. Moo will take him out. Meanwhile, Yamsun currently being watched by Kits, but Kits is kind of all alone here. Yamsun has the level 8 up. He has Shadow Realm. He's rather Shadow Dance. He's perfectly fine. And so no trade going to happen across the map.
It's just a lot less active for 5RAT, coming out with her supports as well. The only hero they can really connect with is Kits. He's the most comfy to go in on. Stomin and TP'd cancelled onto mid, so
they might need that now, John. DNM's been caught. Moo doesn't land the Onslaught. At least the stun part of it. But it doesn't seem like 5RAT can really try and punish him for that movement. He was all alone. And in the meantime, Gunnar just finds a T1 tower for free on his Leshrac.
Yeah, they've got Kisses ready here as well if Lelis finds stun.
Uh-oh, Kits. Oh, Pounce did not actually land. Well, he hasn't actually... No, he did commit it. It just never landed. Onslaught gonna fly through. The Snowball will buy the save he needs. Kid's still trying with the shards out, running back in between the shards, but just can't get away. Getting completely smothered here by the side of Nouns. In comes Speed, however. Right onto Moo they go. Chains will not connect. Stomina will take the kill himself. But with the Timber, they will at least be able to defend this mid-tier 1.
Yeah, they relieve some of the pressure and just hold on to that key objective. You lose out a lot more in slowing down Kits, though. We've seen the Tusk maybe go off to a bit of a rougher start. They need to kind of connect. And Speed, he's not able to really punish that Slark still. Yamsun just goes down bot again, knowing that TP isn't there. Just farms up. Kits is forced to respond. And DNM is even showing up, trying to get a little bit of a push going, but his own farm is going to be suffering from this movement. Bottom network core on the map, on that NP. Nouns know something's up. They're grouping up for a bit of that defense.
Bounce is there. Onto Kits they go. Morris punch was committed. Doesn't seem like Nouns are going to have the backup to try and get Kits. So I say that, Moo did commit the Onslaught, but decides better of it. Runs down towards the south instead and just make sure he avoids the side of 5RAT. Maybe assuming Kits would have the help incoming. And with the way this game's gone, like, you're more than happy to just keep the state of the game the way it is. Nouns currently 3k ahead. Their only problem right now being the fact that Speed is top of the net worth board. But there's going to be nothing to purge off the Spirit Vessel from Moo. He hasn't opted to try and go for anything like a Lotus Orb right now. So you should have the answers for Speed once he does get involved in a team fight. And speaking of, here we go. Yamsun pops the Shadow Dance, just runs away. Doesn't really care for the Timber.
Again, it's a lot of space they're buying out here, and Gunner's just allowed to free farm in the triangle. Bloodstone only the recipe away. That's just massive. Like, having this ultra durable Timbersaw up front, sapping away some HP, doing a lot of damage, no early BKBs that you can find on 5RAT, and even with his threat of Global Silence, it doesn't really affect Leshrac as long as he popped all his spells beforehand. We'll go for a smoke play here on the side of 5RAT, but they don't have vision. They actually don't have any information on the map to kind of go out here, so it's pretty blind to look for this kill.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very desperate kind of smoke attempt from 5RAT. They'll try and bait with Stomin down at the bot lane, hoping somebody takes it, but Speed does reveal himself with that Chakra. And tier 1 mid, rather bottom tower still remaining protected here by Husky. It's not like you can really rely on DNM to come in either. He's still level 6. He's behind the tree in levels. Moo getting caught by the shards, will Onslaught out. Snowball will chase him down and does connect from Kits. They should have the damage here for Moo, and they do. He is gone. In comes DNM. Lelis kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place right now. He will drop as well. Overgrowth is there, but it's not going to matter. Nouns are melting. Speed dealing way too much damage, and DNM, he finds a double kill out of this. That's huge for the Nature's Prophet.
It's so surprising that Nouns opts to force that fight. I mean, they just didn't have the angle in. They probably didn't expect all the heroes from 5RAT, to be fair, as they all do show up in that successful defense, and they even hold on to the Global Silence. They still have that tool for an upcoming fight, if need be. Interrupt the kisses coming out from our Snap. Lelis will not have an easy time finding that angle here. and 5RAT keep themselves in the game. They're still 2k behind, but they're getting some activity out. And the key thing is their mid is still standing. Gunner's been farming top and triangle. He hasn't been making moves onto that mid. He does have the full Bloodstone, so this could be that time where you could start to get active on your Lesh and connect. And full Spirit Vessel for Mu, as you mentioned, it just makes it so much easier to deal with some of these tougher targets. But they just played a little bit safer.
That's a surprising thing, right? Like, you got such an early timing on that, but you never went for the kills. Well, here we go. Stomina will be chased down. Onslaught will connect. Stomina had the Overgrowth stolen, so he will hold them down. The Vessel's still ticking him out, so he should drop from this. Tango given by Albino Zebra, but it's not going to be enough. So at least they get to support Rubik, but not really the biggest deal here for 5RAT. I think they're okay with this.
Yeah, they're fine. Like, they're getting good farm out on DNM. He's got a lot of room up top to play with. I think the side of Nouns doesn't mind either, though. Like, they are still farming in Gunner. They are still farming fairly well on Yamson. He's almost got Ags at 15 minutes in, just 2 parts away. So he's set to still have a good game. Smoke out from Nouns. Look for something here.
Gunner, obviously DNM, had a bit of catch-up farm there with the double kill, but now may get caught out. There is a smoke here from Lelis and Mu. They'll spot out the Prophet. DNM will have no time to react, but no, he hears it. Pulverize is there, but Global Silence will cancel it off, and DNM immediately just TPs out. He wants none of this. Great escape here from DNM off the back of that Global Silence. 5RAT in the meantime have been waiting mid lane for somebody to show up and take this creep wave, but nobody around, so instead they'll start pressuring this mid tier 1 tower, and that does give us a good chance to bring up, of course, the betting odds here from our betting partners, esportsbet.io. 1.26 to 3.69 in favor of Nouns. So the odds are back in favor of Nouns here in this game too. They do hold a 4K net worth lead to be absolutely fair, so I kind of agree with those odds this game around. But one bad team fight for Nouns, and that's going to fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, you can just tell 5RAT, they're playing it perfectly. They're using that Global Silence from Albino Zebra just great. You have 2 spells that just get interrupted by that you can't preemptively BKB for. So Albino Zebra always has the counterplay. And it's just tricky to commit for those kills. Until you have a way of just not caring, even if you lose one of those spells. They do clear out the mid tier 1. Gunner shows up with that Diabolic Edict, nice and easy. So that does open up more invasions up top, cutting off the farm sources for 5RAT. But DNM's just been playing bot. You know, he hasn't really cared too much about the top jungle since he's been chased out of there earlier on. Nouns, they need to make use of this space. They've got the Ags fully up in Yamson. He's going straight for the Mage Slayer. So his times are lining up. Going for the shard as well. You are ready to go with his Slark if you want to drag him into these engagements. He's got some really good damage and chase here.
I just kind of question, like, with these early item timings that Nouns had, like, do you really want to keep playing the slow game? Like, this is kind of like classic in A Dota, right? Like, you just... It's what it used to be, like, where it's just high net worth wins the game. Game 1, we didn't see that at all. Both teams just kind of running at each other constantly. Game 2, a bit of a different... Oh, Yamson jumps into Albino. Kid's right behind him. Shards will block him in. Yamson!
What?
This is what I'm talking about. You know, they're playing maybe too passively here on Nouns. They're not appreciating the net worth lead they have right now.
That's a big kill to bleed out Kids, though.
Yeah, he's jumping in. Gunner will try for this. They don't have... they do have the global now. It just came off cooldown. Kisses are in. It won't really do much. This is a very, very interesting fight from Nouns. I don't know. Is the communication suffering right now from Nouns?
It's an interesting choice out from Yamson. He goes for the D-Ward play, waits 1 leap, leaps down and dies.
Here we go. They've got speed, but the Global Silence is going to protect speed just fine. I mean, the Vessel alone does a lot of damage, but if that's all you've got, that's not going to do enough. Now Husky showing up bottom side onto DNM. Does have Overgrowth, but he is completely on his own. We'll just stick around to try and make sure the bottom lane does remain pushed out. And 5RAT, they are still hanging around the mid tier 1 of the Radiant side, but with that Global Silence, it could be risky.
That should be the opening that Nouns plays with. No Global Silence means you can get a full Pulverize, you can get the Kisses, although that's on cooldown, but just the Pulverize alone with some follow-up should give Nouns the opening they need up against 5RAT. They still hold on to that lead, But feels like 5RAT are still the ones with the initiative. They're holding this really good aggressive position despite losing their mid-tier 1. They've got a ward to watch the movement out from nouns across the river. And they're still stalling for DNM. This guy already has his BKB up. He's ready to go. Nothing to really be scared of outside of maybe the overgrowth from Husky with his blink.
Certainly so. Considering how far he was behind in this game, like, he's happy to keep the farm game going. He's a nature's prophet. He excels in the late game. Here it is, a 5-man smoke. This is what we've been waiting for from nouns. They group together into that dire jungle. The dire triangle, rather. DNM, he'd be the primary target they want, and he hasn't seen them yet. He'll BKB, he'll try to get up with the overgrowth. It's going to hold him down. There will be no escape for the Prophet this time around. Meanwhile, the rest of 5RAT just trying to escape themselves. It looks like they have found one target. It's going to be Speed on the Timber, and that's going to be another great target for nouns.
They get it done. They find the kills they need. Kit's in a pretty good hiding spot, but doesn't have a TP.
Oh! Yamson!
What?
Did you not see him? And he pounced right over him.
Come on, Lelis.
Do they know?
Oh, they got him!
Cookie's there. Lelis has found him. Shards are nice. Oh, high five maybe a little bit early there, Lelis. Let's see what Kits can do. He'll blink towards the north. Still running. Yamson on the chase for Pounce. It's 5 seconds away. He needs a few more seconds. Snowball is back up. Kits is still running. Cookie's off the mark. Snowball is there. He can't commit it though. He has no way out. He wanted to snowball back towards the ancient camp. So they do find the Tusk in the end. And with that nouns, they'll go right after the first Roshan of the game.
And that's just such a heads-up play now. Nouns finally online, finally willing to jump into these fights, taking this first Roche as well. And 5RAT, they don't really have the play. I mean, when you think about their team fight, it really just boils down to Global Silence to interrupt and Rubik's stolen spells. Best one is probably Overgrowth. You wouldn't be too upset about taking Split Earth. But it's tougher for them to force these big 5v5s. And as long as Nouns plays with that power of 5RAT don't have the openings. They play really well with pickoffs, and we saw them do that really nicely with their clump ups. But the moment Nouns sticks around as a team, it doesn't materialize. And again, you just look back at the odds from esportsbet.io. It was favoring Nouns. In the last game, it was bouncing back a little bit more, but this time around, I think it's just solidly locked in for them. 8-6, 5k up. You've got this really strong start for Yamson. He's got his Shard and full Mage Slayer ready when his career's back up. So he's going to be able to save his team as well in the middle of these engagements. And you do have the Timbersaw to take care of that to an extent. And Speed is at his Ags, pretty much. So more damage coming through from the Depth Shroud and the Shadow Dance, but Speed has to survive long enough to get that done. And without anything to prevent the magic output of Gunner, that's a lot tougher to do in this game.
Full Ags up though. Speed just bringing it on the courier. So they might try to go for a bit of a surprise reveal here on the Timber. That double chakram, just so much pure damage. But again, it is really about survivability, like you mentioned. And well, here goes 5RAT. I think they saw Yamson there for a moment. They'll see Gunner top side, but he does back his way out. See everyone missing off the map right now from 5RAT, so the smoke is kind of obvious. Moose still sticking around. Speed will eventually show himself in the creep wave. Still smoked up, but it will be broken. In they go. Gunner maybe laying the bait. Does pop the Bloodstone. The rest of the cavalry, they are incoming. Kids completely caught out and just bursted down. 5RAT. I mean, it seemed like they committed with a lot of hesitation there, and well, the bait from Gunner ends up panning out.
He's just such a tough target to go on to. Until BKBs are up, he'll just melt you, and he gets a lot of value.
No, and he was stunned. Yamson's going right to work, and they found DNM. BKB's only going to save him for so long. There's the overgrowth from Husky. Sprout is there, but Yamson all over the Prophet. Gonna find him, no problem. Oh, Yamson, he does die to the Chakrams of Speed, but it's not gonna matter. At least they find Speed. And you've got plenty of tower damage here from Gunner if you were to think about high ground, but they've still got a top tier 2 tower to go back for.
Yeah, they have to take care of that. They have to equalize the creeps. DNM has sent out his treants, so it's shoved in quite a fair bit. They're not going to be able to fully capitalize on that just yet, but it's still a strong engagement. They managed to bait out the silence earlier, so they get a good use of the kisses out from Lullis. The output is still there. BKBs are key for 5RAT. Without them, I mean, you can only do so much. You do have the one BKB on DNM, but it's not really him that needs it. It's Kits. He needs to be able to jump in and just set up for the team, and speed as well. Like, you need these two frontliners to enable your Nature's Prophet. At the moment, they can't quite do that comfortably.
11-7 now. AK advantage here for Nouns.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
5RAT just hanging around that die triangle. Nouns looking so much more confident during this game too. As Gunner, he does get rid of that tier 2 top tower. Still a minute and a half left on the Aegis, so they could group up and go again if they wish. Group up is mid. Speed, I think, may have been spotted in that Radiant Triangle underneath some vision, and he was. A lot of TPs incoming to try and chase down the Timber. Yamsun has the pounce up and will land it very nicely onto the Timber Saw. Speed, how are we going to get out of this one? They could not stun in time. He's still just chaining away, but look at the surround coming. Speed, somehow, still running, but again, being pincered in. Moo's going to try and onslaught. Speed will go to the south, but where are you going to go now, sir? Spirit Vessel and Pulverize out, and he cannot escape. Moo, he's having a fantastic game in this game too.
And again, that's the big difference maker. He had a great lane. He's got a lot of impact now. They're chasing for more.
Yeah, Albino Zebra. He'll get slowed up by the Nature's Grasp. There's just no way out for him. Even rooted up there for a second by Husky. Still trying to run, but the right click from Gunner will be more than enough. In fact, now they even found Stominant. Stolen Split Earth, stolen Dark Pack, but he wanted the pounce. He will die to the Pulse Nova of Gunner.
It's lining up for now, and they're on the aggressive. They know they've got this big power spike lined up for themselves already. And for 5RAT, they're buying space out for DNM to farm. But this is also what we saw in game 1 from Nouns when they had Yamsun and the Prophet. Right? They just sat back, they tried to farm, they tried to go into this late game. And the matchup for the NP in this case also doesn't feel like the best. Like, you're up against a Slark. Sure, you can kind of leash him in, but you have a Timbersaw who's going to break the trees anyway. So how much can you really lock in the Slark in the ultra late game? And your durability, I mean, once BKBs are up, there's going to be a spike for 5RAT, but in a prolonged game when those BKBs go down to 6 seconds, the same thing happened to Nouns. Their BKBs down to 6 seconds, doesn't matter as much, your window's just that much smaller. We'll try to smoke out here though.
I mean, closest target is Yamsun in their own triangle. They're going to head the other way. Yamsun so close, he could break the smoke himself. They won't know though, they didn't have the vision to spot out the Slark. In fact, now Albino Zebra getting caught from the backside. Yamsun, he'll just pounce right in. Global Silence is up if he wants to commit, but it's too late. Onslaught is there. Snowball will not give any time over to the Silencer. Stominant also getting caught out. Speed gonna try for the TP play, will make it just in the nick of time. But again, both supports being caught for 5RAT. And with that, Nouns, they could think about the tier 2 mid tower for sure. And it looks like they will.
And there's not much stopping them. They've got the output with Gunner. They know there's no global sounds. They know there's no play for that 10-second window. And they just have to surrender it. The best thing for 5RAT now, keep trying to just look for pickoffs when you can. Get that build up into the BKBs on both Kits and Speed. And try to get some map control back. Like, the vision game from Nouns this game has just been the exact opposite of what it was in game 1.
DNM. Uh-oh. BKB up. How do you get out of this one, DNM?
Doesn't have TP?
He has no form of TP. I mean, he was just trying to fight. Literally, both TPs were on cooldown.
Yeah.
That is so rough.
The thing is, he feels safe because he has a ward there. That's the one area that 5RAT has warded outside of this bottom ramp near the secret shop. And it's just not safe. Like, they have so much mobility on the side of Nouns. They can be on top of you from a mile away with the onslaught and the leaps. And it's just really easy to melt you. Again, the BKB on the Nature's Prophet, it's not a big deal in this game. It's your two other cores. It's the Tusk and it's the Timbersaw that has to be online with that spell immunity, and they just don't have the space to do so.
And now Moo gonna run right into Speed. Not gonna try and go for this target as he had no help around.
I love this ward. Look at that ward behind the tier 2 on bot side. So much information there, and not an easy D ward as well.
Certainly not. The bright side, John, Stominant stole and Pulverize. That could be a bit of a game changer.
That's always fun, yeah. It's always fun to see. I'm still sad that they dragged here all the way back to you now.
Yeah.
You know, before when it's just like telekinesis, yeah, it's pretty neat.
It's a psychic type Pokemon.
It does give them a lot more control. They need to kind of tie in. Kits has to find a good angle with that blink in with his BKB up now.
And he does. They are going to jump in. There's your Walrus Punch up. Amu has the BKB. Meanwhile, Yamsun, right onto work. Onto that Timber. There's your Global Silence. But Yamsun, he'll pop his BKB. Speed is still being chased. In fact, never mind Speed because they found DNM. He'll BKB up, and here comes Gunner from the side. Trying to go after the Timber. Kits is gone. Now they pulverize the left rack, but it won't matter because DNM is dead. Moo will keep going. Albino Zebra caught, Stominant caught, everyone just dying as now the pulverize. Moo will just hold down Speed. The chain back towards the fountain, but Gunner's
what
still going.
What are we doing here?
I mean, who cares, John? Nobody's there to fight back.
Albino Zebra?
Can he get him?
Oh, no!
He couldn't see him. He couldn't see him.
I mean, they're diving through tier 2s, tier 3s, tier 4s. They're just going all the way into the fountain while these racks are up. And 5RAT aren't able to respond. Now they're feeling it. They're out for vengeance in this game too after that game 1 showing. They take a tier 3, not the end of the world for 5RAT. They are 22k behind, which is a much bigger deal. You're just so starved out. This BKB from Kits, it gets revealed there and it just doesn't feel like the impact's there. It's just not enough.
It's tough. It's a real tough situation now. 22k behind here for 5RAT. 1% chance being given to them by Dota plus a Speed. Again, being spotted. No, they found Albino Zebra on the back as well. Yamsun almost getting bursted by the Chakram damage, but Gunner, he doesn't care for it. Stominant's gone again. Speed is trying to TP up, but Gunner's got so much damage. They can't even leave the base. Nouns is sending a message in game 2.
Oh yeah, they're out for revenge. I mean, game 1 was really dragged out. We saw Nouns kind of find some small openings back in, but now they just dominate. And 5RAT, with this draft, with the confidence they had, it's a Speed. All these voice lines. These UD Vesuan voice lines, man, they've spread into NA.
Well, shout out to the boys. At least, you know, UD Vesuan, they've made some money.
That they have. Another set of racks to fall. They are protected from Mega Creep to the tier 2 still standing. And 5RAT, I mean, we've seen Nouns hold off as well with his Tusk and NP. They can do sticker spam, jeez.
I gotta ask, who is that guy with the purple hair? Who, like, what is that? I mean, it's gone now. Moo's got one there. What is that?
We could ask Neff, right? Neff would know.
I don't want to talk to Neff, John. I'd like to avoid it if I can.
I'm sure everyone would. Unfortunately, that you would have to contact him as he is the manager of Nouns. Very unfortunate for Nouns. As they go into the Roshan now. And 5RAT, again, the team fight, the lack of team fight here is just hurting them. Like, outside of Global Silence, you don't have any way of taking control. Whereas for Nouns, they've got so much AoE, they've got Overgrowth to pierce through the BKBs, instant smoke out now as well. And 5RAT feels like they're one fight away from just losing everything in this game too.
Smoke broken. Speed, he's just gonna jump in. They want to try and burst somebody down, and it's gonna be Lelis. Kits. Oh
no.
Yeah, the depth shroud is out. Yamsun will save the day. Kits caught in the tusk. Nowhere to go. DNM's gonna try and snipe somebody. Meanwhile, to the north, Speed is gone. Albino Zebra's gone, and this game is gone. They've called it. They've had enough. Game 2. Nouns took the belt off, John. And there was a spanking that happened in this game too, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I mean, they come out with a really...